Hello YouTube, this is A-Ikyo Einstein from Forest Science. I will be doing a Python tutorial.
I'm here for our very first, Python programming tutorial, the start of the coding school. And in this episode, we'll just be laying the foundation of the kind of things that we're going to be learning in future. So let me just quickly tell you a bit about Python. So Python is a relatively, no, it's not, let me not say new, it's been around for a long time, but it's very advanced, very powerful, and well, very high level and easy to understand. And a lot of people have been using it lately, and it's also good in security and a bunch of other ways because, as I said again, it's very powerful, the programming language. So, I'm pretty sure that a lot of you here would want to watch and learn how to use it. Well, don't worry, I'll also be doing HTML classes soon, now or later. But fine, let's just get down to the Python. First off, let me tell you a bunch of things. In Python, we have a few words which are reserved and cannot be used willy-nilly because they have their own special function. Example is def. Example is def. So def means define. It's for defining something, giving the basic unit or something. So let's define open. Oh wait, we can't define open. It's also a reserved word. Okay, so let's define go. That's not reserved. We put a bracket because if there are any other parameters, it would be put there, but we're not going to use. I'm just showing an example. Great. And now we're going to use another reserved word now, which is called pass. Now pass passes. Great. So fundamentally now nothing's happening. So def is for defining. It allows something to occur, something to happen. Although our def won't do anything. So let's do something else. Let's say def go again. That means we're redefining it. And instead of just pass, we'll put print go. Then we'll say pass. So I'm sure like what's gonna happen next. So print is also a reserved word, and as the name implies, it prints. So when we say go, it does that. So I know that's a lot of effort for just saying the words G and O. But when you think of it, you can cram a lot and a lot of more stuff inside that def. And if we wanted to, we would have put a lot more things in go. I mean, anytime you could say go, you could type a longer sentence like, I want you to leave now, just go away. I want you to leave now, just go away from me, something like that. All of that can be compressed into go. So if you have a lot longer sentence for your print, you can just do it there, put go. But that's not all def can do. We can do much more, and we'll be coming to that in future. Now we'll also do while. Now, as the name now while is like conditional loop. While something happens, a sequence of code will continue, and we're going to be using true. While true. True is a reserved word, which means well true, and there's also false. So while true, that means it's going to go on forever. We can just say go. That was our function that we defined earlier, and see all the glorious things happen. Now this is just going to go on and on forever. And I'm sure a lot of you are like not surprised, but it always happens slowly. The code, the learning, everything. It happens a lot, like really slow. It took me like about a year and a few months to reach the level of my Python skill now. I don't want to brag, but I've got a few artificial intelligences on their way. We'll cover that in a future tutorial. We're also going to do a calculator of the rack. But first off, let's do what Python can do. So we need to go to shell and we have to restart this because it's going to go on forever if we don't. Great. So that was going to go on forever if we didn't stop that. Remember, all of these functions have greater potential and greater uses. So then we also have import. Import brings another code or from another file, another module that you've created. So let's get a built-in one, time. And as the name implies, it uses. I didn't pray go. What just happened? That was weird. Okay, let's just say import time. Uh-huh. Okay, that was really weird. I think the loop was still occurring. Well, whatever. Our import is there. And I don't really want to do much, but that import, now we can use whatever code we put in time. Once again, it doesn't look so big, but when you have hundreds of codes, whacking them into another module is not going to be reasonable. That's why you're going to have to use this instead. To show you that in future projects, we'll be using PyCharm instead of the normal Python module editor. Great. Now let's look at symbols. We'll go back to the reserved words. Now you have a basic idea. Now let's look at symbols. We have equals to, plus, minus, underscore, comma, double quotes, at sign, that, question mark. Do we have question mark? Sorry, we have question mark. Do we? And hash. There's also hash. Quite literally for hashtag. And here's the thing. Now, if I type anything, it's going to be the color of hash because that's the job that hash has. Then we also have single quotes. These are this. These are all the things we have. Well, they're not all the things that we have, but they're some of them. Some of the things that we have in Python. If I press enter, it's going to give me an error. Yep, because I just put a bunch of rubbish. Okay, so equals to is for saying something. I know in real life, if you were to say that D is equals to 9, you'll be like, oh, what? But what you're doing here, it means that you're putting D as 9. So when you put D, the computer knows that D, which is empty, is now equals to 9. Yeah, even if you just put G, it's going to give you error that G is not defined. So by doing that, you define it. But now if you say G is equals to D, it's going to give G the value of D, and the value of D is 9. Wow. Okay, that's a lot. That's not a bad start. And then we have hash. Have you ever wanted to give yourself like a note when you're programming? Well, that's what hash is for. Using hash, you can write something like a remembrance or a code or something, and it will not interfere with your program. So that rubbish didn't give me an error. Great. Just make sure you don't put hash on what is actually supposed to be part of your program, as there are still hashes in your program. Because looking for the mistake in your code, unknowingly knowing that it's hashed, is going to be unfortunate. Okay, so then we have minus, plus, minus, times, division. Obviously they're all for mathematics. Underscore. Have you ever wanted to say a word, but in Python you cannot give space? Yeah, in Python you can't give space. So if you were to do def, go, then O, and then put this, you're gonna complain. But if you say def, go, underscore O, it doesn't complain. Yeah, I know that a lot of you, the underscore makes it unpretty, but this allows you to give spaces that the computer will not complain about. That's good. So now let's use all the knowledge of everything that we have just done here, and let's just loop it up into one reasonable end conclusion, and let's write a program. Now, let's say, well, to use this program, we'll be using two reserved words, print and also input, one that I'm about to show you. Let's say you want someone to put in their age. So this is what we're going to do. AS or SA is equals to the input, that is the answer, whatever the person puts in, then you type whatever you want. It's like a message to the user. Enter age. Great. And it's just going to enter the age. This, for beauty, what I just did, it doesn't really matter. Let's say enter age. Enter age. Really, that's not my age, I'm 40. Okay, at the time of this video, I was 40. So, instead, since we have forgotten the age, let's print it now. No, actually, let's get the age in seconds. So that's in years. So then we do this. That D is now equals to S int SA. The reason why we're doing int is to convert to a number. The reason why we're doing int is because we don't want it to be a string. That is the green color. You may not see, but this is now a string and not a real normal number. So if we do int now and we do SA, then we mean that D is now the int form of SA. Now we can do V is equals to how many hours? Oh, man. Okay, how many? Okay, let's just do this. Brackets, so that I put all the things together. The 365.25 days in a year. There are 24. There are approximately 24 hours in each day, and there are approximately 60 minutes in each hour with 60 seconds. Yeah, that's incredible. But we're not done yet, and we do D multiplied that. So what it means, since you know BODMAS, is that this is multiplied by everything in here, and then simply we're going to print our answer V. Print V. So some versions of Python may actually work different. Like there are a few versions, I think, on some devices where you don't have to put bracket for print when you want to print, but others do. So if you are using a version that the things there are working a bit differently from here, tell me in the comment section. I'll look up a solution for you, and we'll get our answer. Yeah, the decimal point there is because of this. If we want to remove, we can do int. So there are about a lot of seconds in someone that is this old. Wow, that's amazing. So yeah, this was just an introduction. It's not everything. Next video, come along as I teach you people how to master defining. Yeah, because it's like the basic thing you can do. When I learned how to program, I could do a lot of things. I was just learning. But sincerely, let me confess, until about this year, which is about the 6th, 7th month mark in my programming stuff, I didn't really know how to define so well. And even if I did, it was basic definitions. Then 2 months after that, I was defining like a pro. So I won't make the same mistake for you. I'll teach you how to define. Then we'll go to the reserved words in depth. So bye everybody, this is A-Ikyo Einstein programming class. See you next lesson.
Thank you all so much for watching the video, and don't forget to LCSS. Bye everybody. See you next time.